So today we are focusing on trading psychology, and it's, in my opinion, the most important thing that everyone should be trying to master. And it's the number one thing why people actually fail in trading. Aside from risk management, this is also the number one thing that people really find it hard to grasp when it comes to trading. So a lot of people, as I think I mentioned in the first few webinars that we had before, that people assume the technical analysis, the fundamental analysis is actually difficult. But once you actually start to learn that and you grasp it, it's just something that you just automatically know and you understand and you'll just keep doing, as time goes on. But this here, what we're going to talk about now, it tends to be something that people become quite inconsistent with simply because it's highly related to their lifestyle. So one thing I haven't said to any of you guys is that when you are a lot of successful traders, if you look at how they trade and you actually look at their life as well, it's literally very in sync with the routine, the discipline, the consistency, their personality traits, and their structure of their life. And this is what we've really, really got to be mindful of. Your lifestyle will actually seep into your trading in ways you could never imagine. So the good thing about today's lesson is that what we're going to be talking about, even though it's in relation to trading, it actually has so much relevance to how you manage your life as a whole in general. So you're going to be able to take away all of this information and really apply it to your life. And the stuff that will allow you to see successes in every other area of your lives, not just limited to trading. So what we're going to be going over today is one, the trader's mindset, so emotional control and confidence, then greed and fear and revenge trading, how to journal trades effectively, your daily, weekly routines for consistent performance, your vision board and long-term goal setting, and your mindset, developing resilience through setbacks, because that is all what it's about, being resilient and being able to come back regardless of your failures, your wins, your losses, and understanding it as a lesson that's been learned and it's wisdom to allow you to perform better in the future. So number one, so the trader's mindset, emotional control and confidence. I'm sorry, I'm not sharing me today. Everything's going to be through my screen. I'm also going to be asking you guys a series of questions as we progress through today's session. I don't want it to be just focused on, strictly me talking, otherwise it could get a bit boring. So be prepared to unmute your mics from time to time because I will be asking questions just to get your thoughts on kind of how you manage emotions, you manage resilience and other areas of your lives as well. So before we even get into setups and entries, what I really want to remind you all of is that trading starts with you. It starts with you as the person before anything else. Every decision that you make within trading all comes from your state of mind. If you're upset or you're frustrated on a particular day, and that same emotion that you're feeling on that day, you then bring that into trading, I guarantee you, you're setting yourself up for failure. So this is why I'm saying it becomes one of those things where you realize it works so hand in hand with how you live your life. So when it comes to confidence within trading, it does not appear overnight. As we all know, confidence is something that you don't just wake up and you feel confident. It comes from preparation. It comes from reviewing your trades. It comes from journaling. It comes from sticking to your rules. All of this preparation that you're doing is what is essentially going to put you in a position to actually start doing successful trades and being more effective and efficient in the way in which you trade as well. So when you feel emotional, I guarantee you guys, your charts look different. I'm not sure if any of you who are in this call now who's traded before, but with me, when I'm in an emotional state of mind and I open up my charts and I start drawing my lines, doing my analysis, it does not look the same if I compare it to another day where I've been prepared and I'm in a positive state of mind and I'm making sure that I'm trading with the right emotions in mind rather than being all over the place. And you will see that. So it affects you from your setups, the way you do your charts, when you're frustrated as well. It also like when you look at opportunities may not even be an opportunity at the time because you're frustrated. When you're frustrated and something that on a normal day wouldn't have been an opportunity, when you're frustrated, it's amazing how all of a sudden it actually looks like an opportunity because now you're in a rush. Now you're in a rush to make money or you're in a rush to get into a trade. So emotional control is not about having no emotion. So I'm not saying you shouldn't have any emotion. I'm just saying it's important to know how to regulate your emotion and have the right emotions when you are approaching your trading. It's all about understanding how to manage the emotions you have and know when to switch on and know when to switch off and understand how you come to the table. It's like when you go to work in a bad mood, that's when you generally have a bad day and you don't want to talk to no one. And people are like, what's wrong with that person? The exact same applies with trading as well. So, what I want all of you lot to do is every time, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you a lot of cheat sheet after we finish as well. Not these cheat sheets here in this deck, but I'm going to give you a separate one pager PDF for you to refer to as well. And what the PDF does, it basically it challenges you to ask yourselves a series of questions before you enter your trade. And depending on how you answer those questions transparently and with no facade will determine whether you're genuinely ready to trade or not. I myself personally, I've had days where I decided not to trade because I was in a bad mood. And that's where you guys need to get to. You need to try to bring yourself to a point where if you feel like you're in a bad mood, do not trade because you're setting yourself up for failure. So ask yourself before you get into every trade, am I calm? Is my plan clear? Is the setup valid? And if the answer is yes, yes to any of those or no to any of those, then I can skip the trade. So again, success starts with mastering your mind. Pre-trade checkpoint. Am I calm? Am I calm? Is my plan clear? Is this setup valid? If not, then there's no trade. A calm mind reads the market clearly, and a rushed one just literally just takes in all of the noise and all of the distractions. So can I ask anyone on this call if there's anything you can actually say? Because I want this session to be a bit more interactive and a bit more, how can I say, just not necessarily me speaking all the time. So if there's anything anyone else wants to reinforce based off what I've said, I would love to hear any of you guys kind of reinforce or give your experience when you've been in front of the charts, or if there's any advice that any of the active traders here would give to anyone, just to make, because at the end of the day, it's not just about me. Yes, I'm teaching, but if you are, there's other experienced traders in this group as well. And I believe that the way in which a community thrives is if we all help each other. So if there's anyone who could kind of reinforce or give their experience or give any additional advice, please, I welcome it for the rest of the team. Cool, we'll keep it moving. So greed, fear, and revenge trading. So, oh, sorry, did you, Khadija, did you say so? I know you unmuted your mic. So what did you say? Okay, I think you might have done it accidentally. No worries. So when it comes to trading, so we're going to get back into the emotional state behind trading now. So now we're taking it away from you guys personally to what moves the markets. So when it comes to what moves the markets moves in kind of two different sorts of emotions. So you've got greed, which is essentially what gives the buying power, and then you've got the fear, which is essentially what triggers off the sales. So when you look in a market that's in the uptrend, that's because everyone, all the traders, investors, institutions, and banks are feeling optimistic. They're feeling happy, and they're like, okay, let's pump it, let's pump it, let's buy, 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 and that's driven by, and that creates the buying power. When fear comes into the markets, and there's let's just say potential of an economic crash, you've got war, you've got other things that going on. That is what drives the selling within the markets as well. So the reason why I'm saying this to you guys is because I want to get you to really understand that behind the technical analysis, there's actually a lot of emotions that drive the buying or the selling power within a market, whether it comes from an organization, a hedge fund, a bank. there's emotions and speculation, which all comes together to drive what we see in the markets, whether it's buying or selling. But when it comes down to us guys as traders, as people who are trading in the markets, the three emotions that we really, really need to be mindful of, which is what's made me blow my account in the past, is greed, fear, and revenge. Now, for me personally, and for everybody else who I'm sure has traded as well, these have always been the silent killers of trading. Again, alongside with not doing your risk properly, these have always had a massive impact on people's wins or their losses within their trading account. So when you look at greed, so like what is greed? So greed is when you're thinking of a trade. So greed is when you start thinking about the trade you could make instead of what you've planned to make. So it's us coming into the markets being all optimistic, saying, I want to make a lot of money. I want to make a lot of money. Now, whilst, yeah, we're all on this call because we want to make money, some people take it too far. Some people with that same ideology of I want to make money, because if they haven't got any discipline or any control, they actually take that to a level where they now start putting on 50% risk per trade, or they see their money and profits. It's broken a take profit area which they had because it's broken it 20 points, they say, oh, there's more money, there's more money, there's more money coming. Let me stay in that trade. That's all driven by greed and opportunity. Now, what you've got to do really is say to yourself, try to be a bit robotic to some degree. If you've gone into a trade, is hit your take profit, come out of the trade. If that's where you anticipate for it to go. If you see it going past that point, 20, 30 points, you don't know why it's gone past that point, don't start to get greedy and say, let me take as much as I can take. Because what's happened to me in the past is when I've gone into a trade, it's hit my take profit and I've put on a 50% risk after it's hit my take profit. I've seen all of this money come in. Because in the back of my mind, I'm like, but I could make more money. I could make more money. What's now 5 grand could actually be 7, 8K if I just stay in the trade. And then what happened about 3 minutes later, the news would come out, and then before you know it, it's gone all the way back down and it's completely shafted my account and I've lost. Whereas if I stayed in it where it hit my take profit and just came out the trade, I would have been fine. So simply put, just when you are in a trade and you see the money going, don't focus on the monetary aspects of your trade. Focus on the points. The point should be your core focus when you're trading. When you are looking at anything on Instagram or TikTok or any form of social media and you see people saying, I'm making 10 grand, 20 grand, 30 grand, okay, cool. But as I said to you guys in our previous lesson, 10, 20, 30K, risking 50% of your account, being greedy, just getting involved in something just because you see it going in one direction is not going to allow you to stay in the markets for a long period of time. It might give you a dopamine hit. You might feel good because you've got a big amount of money in a very short period of time. But I tell you one thing from now, and take it from someone who's been in the markets for nearly 15 years, that will not last. So please try to adopt everything what I'm saying to you, take it in and really make it the foundation of everything that you do whenever you're trading. Because this is how you'll stay consistent. And regardless of your losses, this is how you'll see your money compounding from year to year to year to year to year. And then that's when you can start taking away big bits of money because you started on the right foundation. So please take all of this in when I'm speaking to all of you guys. So fear, let's talk about fear now. So fear stops you from taking good trades because you're emotionally attached to the last one. So I'm going to give you another example as well, what I went through. A lot of what we're going to be talking about today is all going to be going on the wisdom and the experiences and the lessons that I've had because I'm simply trying to teach you guys so you don't make the same mistakes. That's literally the main focus of today's session. Do not make the same mistakes. So when you make a bad trade, whether you done the right risk to reward, you done the right percentage, let's say you done everything correctly. You thought it was going to go in a certain way, but it didn't. It went wrong. You ended up losing money. What tends to happen when people lose money, they become emotionally attached to what they lost because they're looking at the monetary aspect. Hence why I tell you guys to look at the points and always look at the risk to reward. Now, because of what they lost, and I'll tell you this, I've been through this before. When was it? It was, I believe, the year before last. I think Okay, let me give you one of the earliest. When I first started trading, I think I doubled my account in about 3 months. And I made a lot of money in about 3 months. I was making huge trades. There's one particular trade that I stayed in. I kid you not, I lost about 35 grand in that trade. That was a lot of money. I took a massive hit. I got butterflies. I wanted to be sick. Literally, I wanted to vomit. I felt sick. As a matter of fact, I couldn't eat for a period of days. I lost part of my appetite, and that's when I started. That was in my first 3 years of trading. I was emotionally drained. I didn't want to be in front of the market. I was angry. No one couldn't talk to me. I wanted to be by myself. I took it in a big way. Why? Because I was being greedy, first and foremost. I was trying to make. I was looking at the monetary aspect. Two, when money was, because I was making more money, I continued to put on more and more pounds per point, which meant I was now risking 50, 60% of my account. So through all of those experiences, when I did take that big loss, I actually felt scared to trade. There's a period of time where I would look at the markets for months. I would say, okay, this is going here, that's going there, that's going there. I wouldn't get involved in the trade. People would say, well, if you know that's where that is going, why are you not getting involved? Because why emotionally I was attached to the loss that I'd done before. And that's what it does to you when you don't have a certain level of discipline when you're trading. You will lose a trade, and then upon losing a trade, you're now becoming very paranoid, you're very fearful, and you'll see identify another 50 great opportunities. But because you've been destabilized from your previous loss that you had, now you don't want to get involved in it. And then what happens the moment you start to say, okay, look at all of the opportunities I've missed out on and get involved in it again, at that time in which you now say to your mind, I'm now going to get involved in it again, it now becomes what's called revenge trading. And with revenge trading, what it is, you're now mad at the markets. You lost your money, you saw 10, 20 different opportunities which you didn't get involved in. You're now frustrated with yourself because you're thinking, I've lost money. I had the opportunity to make my money back, which I didn't do. So now, when you do eventually get to a point where you want to make money back again, you're now chasing losses or putting on more pounds per point to a point where it just becomes a repetitive cycle. You go in it again, you win another three trades, you lose another trade, and then you're angry again. And before you know it, you're now in this uphill, downhill spiral of I love the markets, I hate the markets. I love the markets, I hate the markets. The reason why most people lose their money, you know what? I challenge every one of you on the call today to go to someone who used to trade and who doesn't trade anymore and say, why don't you trade? And I guarantee you, the reason why they'll tell you they do not trade anymore is because of what we're talking about today. They'll blame it on the markets, but if you read in between the lines, you'll actually find that they will either being too greedy, they were being fearful, or they started to revenge trade. And because it was now a roller coaster experience they were having with the markets, they just literally said to themselves, "Oh, I'm done with this. I can't be asked for this anymore. It's too much stress. I'd rather go back to work, do a 9 to 5, listen to my manager, knowing that I'm going to get paid at the end of every month." Because a lot of people do not know how to manage their own emotions and have established a level of discipline month in, month out, where they're able to do things by themselves. A lot of people on a conscious and a subconscious level are more inclined and more accustomed to actually wanting to do a 9 to 5 where their manager or their boss is actually telling them what to do. That's the unfortunate reality of the world, but that is how we've been molded, and that's what we now are adapt to. And with the markets, what you're coming to is a complete different environment where now nobody's telling you what to do. Nobody's telling you when you can have a break or have a lunch break or when you finish work. Every choice, every decision you make is based on you. It's based on your discipline, it's based on your consistency, it's based on your calmness, and it's based on your emotional control. And because a lot of people aren't adapt to that or they're not accustomed to that, they find themselves losing. So what we are learning, and this is why I will go back to the very first moment when I first started this call. This is why this session here right now is probably the most important session that you guys really, really need to take in right now. If you can master the art of your emotions and control and the psychology of trading, I guarantee you every single one of you is, well, I don't want to say gone, but you're going to be successful. Let's put it that way. Every single one of you will be successful. The psychology, emotions, risk to reward, everything else follows from there. So that's one thing I will say. So revenge trading is, I mean, really it's the worst because what's happening is that when you're trying to prove a point to yourself and the markets, now you're no longer following structure. You're no longer following your technical analysis. You're literally just trying to revenge, get back your money and prove a point to yourself. There's no one to prove a point to. The markets doesn't respect you. As a matter of fact, the markets doesn't even know you. So when you're there getting upset over the money that you lost, the markets doesn't care. It's still going to do what it's got to do every single day, every night, every morning, every evening, every weekend. So it's for you to make sure that there's no point having all of these emotions tied to the markets when it's still going to do what it's got to do. Now, when you feel these emotions rising, one thing I'd say to you guys, what you should do is pause. Literally, if at any moment, because you will get these emotions, we're all human beings, at any moment when you start feeling these emotions coming in, shut your monitor down, close your phone, put it on lock, walk away from the screen. I'm telling you, that is probably one of the most practical advices that you could take away from today. Close your monitor down, lock your phone, walk away from the screen, pause. Stop clicking on everything, stop looking at the charts, take a breath and step away and ask yourself, what do I need to do to recollaborate and to bring myself back to a point where I'm now seeing things the way it needs to be seen instead of trying to see what I want to see. Because that's another thing people do. I love it when people are emotionally unstable or upset. Now they're not looking at the reality of a situation. They're just seeing what they want to see rather than seeing what needs to be seen or what the market is actually showing them. So remember, greed and fear does not come from the charts. They do not come from the charts. They come from the expectations of us, the expectations and the perceptions of us. It has nothing to do with the charts. So we need to learn to manage that as we continue to trade. So, one thing I'd like to ask any of you to say to yourself, write down on your phone, in your book, wherever you have, is what's one emotion that tends to control you most when you're trading? Is it fear? Is it greed? Or if it's revenge? What's one emotion that controls you in life? Ask yourself that question because during and after this call, what I want each and every one of you to do is become very aware, very conscious of your thoughts and your feelings and your bad habits that you may have adapted in your life that you may potentially take into the markets, which will result in you receiving bad experiences. Ask yourself that question, write it down, and really ponder on that and be wary, be aware of how you are stepping into this new realm that a lot of people usually fall victim of because they're not prepared properly. So, discipline over emotion every single time. That's what we need to do. So, journaling. So, you guys should remember I sent an image in a group. It was a video. It was a journal that I had, and I've still got the journal, of course, hence why I sent it. And one thing I would say to all of you guys to do is get yourself a journal. There's loads of journals online. Amazon. In fact, I'm quite familiar and aware of many journals. If you guys have journals, great. For the ones who don't have journals, especially a trading journal, I'm going to send about three, four different links for you to get your journal now. But one thing I have been doing behind the scenes, I've been doing not just the website, but I've actually been creating some of these trader materials, such as the journals, which again, it will be on sale in Amazon. And the journals that I've got leans not just on trading psychology, but it also leans on mindset in general. What mindset do you need to have in life, and how are you taking that mindset into trading? So definitely keep a lookout for that. I'll keep you guys updated. But yeah, let's talk about journaling. So what is journaling? So it's not a diary or a mirror. It basically shows you what you need to keep doing right or wrong. That's what it shows you. So when you've got a journal, the whole point of it is for you to refer back to your journal, write down every single week how your trading's going, what have you done right, what have you done wrong, and you should be able to see the data. Data doesn't lie. So if you have your journal, you match that up with your charts, your results that you've got every single week, you'll have a very, very clear idea as to what you're doing correct and what you're doing incorrect, and what can you do better to make sure you become more efficient and successful with your trading. That's the whole point. So for every single trade, what you guys will need to do, especially the new, medium, old, again, it's stuff that I'm even, well, I actually fell out of that habit. I wasn't doing that. Since I've been teaching and talking and doing this again, I've actually started journaling again. And what happens is that when you believe, when you're in the markets for such a long period of time, a lot of people just assume that, oh, I'm experienced now, I don't need to journal again. And then that is where it comes back to bite you in the ass if you're not careful, because you now start to adopt bad habits. Same thing with driving. When we're driving and we pass our driving test, we've got hands up both on both wheels. Was it 10 to 2? We're looking how we're supposed to be looking behind the mirrors and everything. We're doing things properly. But once we start driving for about 15 years, what do? Which I know all of you guys can agree to this on. We start getting bad habits. I'm not sure about you guys. Please keep this in the call. Confidentiality. There was a long period of time where I was driving with my knees. It was such a bad habit. I became good at it, but it was a very, very bad habit, which I should have never been doing. And what is the chance? I mean, that completely increases your chances of a crash or accident when you start adopting those bad habits. There's a lot of times where you turn corners where when you first start driving, you have to look in your side mirror, your front mirror, everything. Whereas the more you become accustomed to driving, you start adopting bad habits. And the exact same thing is what people do in trading as well. So the whole process, the whole point of a journal is that you record everything and you make sure you're holding yourself accountable, whether you're trading for the first few months, first few years, or a decade. Always journal, regardless of how long you're trading for. So as I said, trader setups, your entries, your exits, your take profits, your thought process, and a screenshot. Take a screenshot of the chart and make sure you. What I do, I've got a folder where I've got literally all of the successful trades in my folder. So I've probably got about over 100 trades. And what I do my analysis, and all of the analysis, I take a screenshot, which is not just limited to social media, but I put it in my folder, and then at least I can see, okay, this is the way I was trading. This is the analysis that I had, which is what resulted in a successful trade. And then if I keep doing that and I write in my journal as well, which shows me my thought process and how I was thinking, all of those things give me it allows me to become so much more efficient when I'm trading. And if I continue to apply that level of consistency and discipline and that routine, then that's when I'm able to be in what we call our flow state of trading. Yeah, I'm sure some of you have heard that word before, your flow state of mind. When you get into your flow, it basically means you're untouchable. And to get into your flow, you need to be doing everything, executing everything in the right way. So ask yourself, how did you feel before and after trading? As I said to you guys, I'm going to send you a few references, a few books. I'm going to send you a sheet that I've got, which is going to have all of these questions in the sheet. So the goal isn't to create anything fancy. You're not creating like a huge spreadsheet. And the goal isn't, I think some people and me personally, when I first started trading, the reason why I found it hard to journal is because it does require time. It will require at least 30 minutes of your time every single day. It will require you to write down notes, write down your entry, your exit, how you're feeling. And in the beginning, it will feel a bit long. Some of you who already have that high level of discipline, you may be able to adapt that or have that knowledge or have that level of discipline. But if you don't come from that level of work, well, I don't want to say work ethic, but if you're not accustomed to that, it will feel a bit inconvenient at first. But it takes 60 days to establish a habit. So the whole point is that if you do this for a minimum of 60 days, it should just literally be natural to all of you guys. So it's about for you to notice your patterns when you're losing. Are you tired? Are you rushing into a trade? Are you angry on that day? Has someone upset you? If somebody's upset you, is that a time for you to be trading, or is that a time for you to step back from the charts? Remember, there's always time to make money. The markets never end. I've been trading for nearly 15 years. The same opportunities I saw then, I'm seeing opportunities now. It might come in different forms, but the market ain't going nowhere. So that's a very important thing for every one of you to understand. So review your journal weekly, and that's where the small improvements stack up. That's where you start compounding. So another question, again, for you to write down in your phones or in your notebook if you have that in front of you. So who here has ever looked back at a losing trade and realized that it wasn't the setup? It was actually their mood that affected that trade. That's one thing I'd like you to read that, and this is for the people who have traded or who've even started trading, even if it's on your demo account. Who has actually looked back and realized my setup actually was perfectly fine. It's just the way I was feeling at the time of trading. These are some of the questions you should be putting in your journal. So remember, the data speaks for itself. The data reveals the truth. The data reveals what the emotions hide. When you're feeling a certain way, you can't see it. But when you act upon those emotions and you see the results of it, that is now your data. So just bear that in mind. So daily and weekly routines. So after this slide, we're going to go on a break. As I said, the good thing is that we're only looking to go up to 8 o'clock for this one, but we're going to go on a break after this. So daily and weekly routines for consistent performance. So what should you guys be doing every day? What should you guys be doing every single week to make sure you're consistent with your performance in trading? So consistency is not a result of motivation because we all get motivated from time to time. We all get dopamine hits. Some people feel like they need to go to certain environments to pump themselves up, and then that motivation is what creates the success. It's not that. It's consistency when you're feeling like you don't want to do something. Same thing when you're going to the gym as well. Not every day do we have the energy or the motivation to go to the gym, but it's having that ability to say that we need to stick to our routine and following through with that level of discipline. That is what's going to keep us in the game. So if any of you here go to the gym and you're consistent with gym, one thing I would say is that I think it would, in based on my level of experience and what I've seen, you'd find it quite easy to do things like this because you already understand the power of discipline and routine. So start your day. So what are we going to do first? So start your day with structure. So morning market scan. So scan the market. So this is, guys, I'm telling you guys, this is what you're going to be doing every single day. So please take this on board and make sure this is how you are being every single day when you are trading. So start your day with structure. So check the calendar, check your zones, reset your mind. I come from a Christian background, so I pray before I go in front of the markets. I meditate. I make sure that I'm in a good state of mind as well. I make sure that my environment is clean as well. If my home is a mess around me, on a subconscious level, that also translates into the charts as well. So this is why I said to you, it has a direct correlation with your life as well. I need to make sure that in order for me to be more successful with my trading, my whole environment just needs to be clean and clear. I need to make sure there's a time of quietness, and I need to make sure that I've just done that mental preparation before even going into my charts. So start, even if you go with a 5 minute meditation. Some of you guys might prefer to read. Some of you guys might prefer to listen to music to kind of relax your brain. Some of you might prefer to go to the gym before. If you've not gone to the gym before your charts, then that might throw you off. We all have different variations and different styles of what we deem to be preparation and putting us in that state of mind, in that good state of mind before going into our trades. So whatever that is for you, because we're all different, make sure you apply that every day before you go into your trades. Now, we're not perfect, so you're not going to get this spot on in the first week or 2 weeks. So there, some days you will miss some days. It will happen. But if you can try your absolute hardest to develop this structure and this routine, 5 days a week, that would be great. Sorry. So that, as I said, the meditation before the trading can completely change your state of mind and your focus. So third thing, so have a daily risk cap. So define your risk. What is your safety net? I've said to all of you, if you're just starting, it should be between 1 to 3%. If you are really, really good and you've established a minimum of 8 out of 10 wins, and you've been trading for a period of time, you're consistent, you're disciplined, you're on your job, you're in your flow state, then me personally, I push mine to 5%. But I would say to all of you guys, your safety net, your daily risk, as we said before, needs to be between 1 to 3%. And that again has an effect on your emotions, it has effects on your greed, it has an effect on your fear, it has an effect on your losses. Now, the weekly routine. So at the end of the week, review your journal. So do your journal review and your performance reflection. So always check your performance and set up for next week's opportunity. So on a Friday, no, actually not on a Friday, I say probably on a Saturday, I actually open my charts and I open my trades that I've done throughout the week, all my wins and my losses. And I basically look at everything that I won, everything that I lost, the points I made, the points I didn't make. And then I basically internally I reflect on like what could I have done better, and then basically I reflect on what did I do bad that had an effect on some of these trades. If I missed trades, why did I miss the trades? Is it because I was busy and I didn't have the time to be in front of the computer? If it was, that's a valid reason. If I missed it because I was too scared to go in the trades, then that's something that I really need to assess, and I need to ask myself, okay, how can I approach that better to make sure I'm not getting the exact same results? So, all of these things, again, just make sure you do a weekly check-in, weekly performance, and ask yourself, what have I done, haven't done, and what do I need to do to take advantage of next week's opportunities? And then treating trading like training. So as I said to you, just like gym, every single trading session you have, every session counts. So literally, if you're trading on a Monday, make sure you're trying to trade on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, because it's all compounding. Don't be wishy-washy and say, "Oh, I'm going to trade this week, but next week, maybe I don't want to trade." Try to get into a routine of committing yourself to the markets. Try to get into a routine of saying, "You know what, this is something I have to do because this is what's going to allow me to establish myself and generate a level of success in the markets." So if you can get yourself into that frame of mind where you're committed to the markets, just like you'd commit to gym or work or your daily 9 to 5, this is what will allow you to continue to be successful. So, as you know, again, I love giving analogies. When you're in a place of work and you're there for a year, if you go into work one week and you choose not to go into work another week, you're doing 1 week on, 1 week off. Are you going to develop or progress as much as that person who's been working every single day and they've only taken a 20-day holiday throughout the whole of the year? No, you're not. Generally speaking, when people go into a place of work, the people who end up going to senior positions, executive positions, directors, CEOs, they go there because they've been at that company or they've established a routine where they're learning, they're compounding, and they're doing this day in, day out, year in, year out, to a point in which they're now yielding the results of these more senior roles. Think of trading like that. If you actually think of trading as a job, it will be so much more easier for each and every one of you. See, as if I trade every single day, I commit myself, then in the next 10 years, I'm going to be a very, very good trader, like a senior trader. So, again, another prompt. So, who has a morning routine before they trade? And are you jumping straight onto the charts or are you developing a morning routine? So, make sure you ask yourself that question. So, do you have a routine? If you don't, yes, create a morning routine, a healthy morning routine, and make sure you're not jumping onto the charts before you trade. So structure always creates freedom. And as you can see on this sheet here, your do's, review, plan, execute, put your limits, and then don'ts is don't trade emotionally or without preparation. So guys, that concludes our first part of the session. Let's go on a quick 3 minute break. It's 7:43 now. Let's rejoin back at 7:40, 7:46, and then we'll keep it moving from there. Hey guys, we are back. I hope you're all back, settled in front of your computer. Before I get started, again, none of you don't need to. Well, it would be good if you could respond, but is there anyone you can type it in the chat, unmute your mics? Is there anyone that's kind of encountered these sorts of experiences, or do you even have any questions that you'd like to ask following everything that I've said? Please ask questions. This is a very important session, and if there's anything that's crossed your mind, definitely I'd encourage any of you to ask questions.
It's not so much a question,
Yeah.
it's more of a thing of you've told everyone to risk like 3% of their daily account. Now, you could have setups ready to go for the day. You might have lost 3% of your account doing whatever trades earlier. What happens now if your alert goes off and tells you that a trade that you had set up from before is ready to go?
So so you've lost 3%. You've got another trade set up that's just triggered. Basically, should you take that trade after you've lost the 3%?
Correct.
Take the trade if you're in a correct frame of mind. So if we've established a win to loss ratio, let's just say we know from our back testing and from our analysis that we're getting 8 out of 10 trades right. That one trade that you've lost, let's just say hypothetically, that's one of your two trades out of 10. It's all works in probability. It's inevitable that we're going to lose trades. I think it's about setting expectations, knowing that some trades we will lose, and it's just part of the game. So as long as you understand that it's inevitable that we will lose some trades, make sure that your emotions in the right place. As long as emotionally you're feeling good, not feeling good, but you're still composed, and it's triggered off a certain line, you can see exactly where you believe it's going to go according to your technical analysis. You should still trade it 100%. Cool. So with that being said, so we're going to move on to the vision boards. So the vision boards and long-term goal setting. So I hope all of you guys can took that in from the answer I gave to what Dominic said, because a lot of people in the markets really need to understand that it is inevitable that we are going to lose. That's just something that you really just got to embrace. And the quicker you embrace that, the better. But yeah, so let's zoom out a little now. So when you're trading, what we've got to ask each other is ask yourselves, what is the bigger picture here? Why are you trading? Some people trade because they want to save to get a house. Some people trade because they've got their Sky bill, their Netflix, or something that they want to pay for rather than it coming through the trading, rather than it coming through their own money. Some people genuinely want to get to a point where they're trading full time. They don't need to rely on a 9 to 5, and they've got that level of freedom. We all have different reasons for why we want to trade. And when you establish and start to become very clear as to why you want to trade, your whole process becomes so much more easier. A lot of people jump into the market simply because they say, I want to make money, I want to make money. Okay, why do you want to make money? What's your reason for it? Because the moment you start to establish and understand why you want to make money, it then has a knock-on effect on the sort of trades that you take, the level of commitment that you have, and the level of pressure that you put on yourself. Now, every one of us on this call are very different. We have very different lifestyles. Some of us are able to put a decent amount of pressure on ourselves to get to that level where we're making a couple hundred grand a year. Some of us don't. Some of us are working a full 9 to 5, and maybe we only want to make 10 grand a year. We all have different goals and different ways in how we want to trade. Some of us might have that time and that freedom to trade every single day. I can trade every single day. I've got that time, I've got that freedom. Some of us might be working every single day, an intensive role from 9 in the morning till 7 p.m. in the evening, and they only have the time to do swing trades, meaning long-term trades that they have to hold it. Every one of us needs to establish what's my goal, which will therefore have an effect on the way in which I choose to trade. So a strong vision allows you to be patient even when the market's slow. Because at times the markets will slow down. Generally speaking, in the December period, this is generally speaking, it's not all the time. As I said, the markets does what it wants to do. You tend to have this what's called a Christmas rally. Now, with the Christmas rally, what happens is that you have it in the indices in particular, Germany 30, US 30, it will just rally for 2 weeks. It will either buy constantly. It doesn't matter how overbought it is, it will just keep going. And then when January comes, what would happen? It would just correct itself. Or it could keep selling. So these are the things it does. But then there's a period where sometimes in summer the market just doesn't move correctly. It doesn't move properly at all. And it's all about us having that understanding and the expectation of how the markets move and how we're going to react when it's moving based on our goals. So set goals by process and don't do it by profit, how much money you want to make. So for instance, say to yourself, I'm going to follow my plan for 30 trades a day over a period of 30, for 30 straight trades over a period of 30 days. Not I'm going to make 5 grand this month. Because as I said, it's not about the money, it's about the points, it's about the percentages. One expectation that I would advise each and every one of you to do is say to yourself that I want to do an overview of my performance every 3 months. If you so do your weekly overview, of course, in terms of your weekly performance for your mindset, your routine. But when it comes to your percentages, it's always more beneficial to do it every quarterly. Why? Because some quarters might move a bit slower than other quarters. And if you have January to March, which was not as ideal, and you only done 5%, well, it's no, sorry. If you have January and I don't know, let's just say you looked at your trades and your performance for the month of January and you only done 5% or 2%, you might get disheartened. But then if you look at your overall trades over a period of 3 months, a quarterly perspective, what you realize is that January might have given you 2%, but February might have given you 10%, and then March might have given you another 15%. And then when you actually look at it, that overall, you become a lot more, how can I say, you're not as hard on yourself as you would have potentially been before. So that's just one tip I'd give you all. You don't need to take it, but I do find when you just look at things from a long-term standpoint, it's easier to be more grateful and have a bit more grace on yourself when it comes to how you've performed. So use visuals, charts of your progress. So make sure with me, I've got quotes, I've got my goals, and I keep them visible. So in where I am now, in front of my computer, literally as I'm speaking to you guys, I've got like a vision board right in front of me. That vision board reminds me of my goals. It reminds me of what I want to achieve. And I've set myself a timescale of what I want to achieve as well. And I've done what's called SMART objectives. Smart objectives, so specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. So that's one of the things that I put into place for myself. So I also like quotes as well. So when I'm on social media, everything that I'm looking at, it's all reminding me of my goals, where I want to be in my life. I'm very, very particular of what I pay attention to because I need to know that whatever I'm putting my energy in, that it's got a direct correlation with my goals and where I say I want to be. So I tend to not waste any time. I tend to not want to indulge in conversations for if it doesn't align with, who I say I want to be as a person. So as you guys become more and more serious about your goals and where you want to be, and whether it may be take in the form of quotes, whether it may be in the form of conversations, whether it may be in the form of social media or your vision board, what should happen is that you guys should have more of a no nonsense mindset where you're just like, look, I'm sorry, I haven't got the time to be talking about that. And that is discipline. And when you establish that level of discipline over a long period of time, this is what allows you to then hit your goals. So make your goals personal as well. So maybe your goals is financial freedom. Maybe it's just to have more discipline in your life. Maybe it's to spend more time with your family. I don't know what your goals are, but just make sure it's personal to you. There's a book called Simon Sinek. I'm gonna put it in a group. It's a great book. It's called What is Your Why, or The Power of Why. Wait 1 second. I'm gonna put it in the chat. So start with why. It's a very good book because what tends to happen, right? When people are defining their goals, they're not creating their goals to what is actually personal to them. They're not realizing that the goals they're creating is being highly influenced by what they're seeing with the other people around them. So, to put into perspective, if you're working with someone or you've got a friend or you see someone that's making 3 million a year, they then now put their benchmark on what that person's earning and say, I want to make 3 million a year. But hold on, that person might have goals that's personal to them that might make it necessary for them to make 3 million a year. Your goal for what you have may not necessarily have the requirements of you making 3 million a year. You might be fine with just 100 grand a year as well. Regardless of the difference, the goal needs to make sure it's fit into what you want and your personal goals. You might want to travel the world or have this high luxury lifestyle. Okay, what is required in terms of financial or monetary gains in order for you to have that lifestyle? And define that. But don't define it on what you see person A on the left or person B on the right doing. It has to be in accordance and in relation, and it really needs to be heartfelt to you and yourself only. So that's just another thing I tell you to be mindful of. You can be inspired. I'm not saying you shouldn't be inspired. It's yes, be inspired by what other people are doing, but do not say idolize them and say that now needs to be my benchmark. Because then what tends to happen after that? You start to get jealousy, comparison traits. You start to compare yourself with this person and that person. I don't compare myself with anyone. I don't care what anyone's doing. You could pull outside my house with a Lamborghini tomorrow. It makes no difference to my life. I know what I need to do. I know what my goals are, and I'm on my job. And you guys need to have that exact same mindset. This is the job I'm on. This is my goals. What you want to do is down to what you want to do. Cool, no problem. So yeah, that's that. And what is one thing I would say, especially in regards to trading, that will allow you to do right now? That is the question that I want you guys to ask yourself. What is one thing within your trading that would allow you to do what you want to do right now? That one thing could be a house, it could be a car, it could be support your family, it could be pay a bill. Ask yourself that question. What is my why? What is one thing that I really would love to do that I've got a goal that trading would allow me to do? And what I'd ask you guys to do is write that out, whether it's in a diary, whether it's on your desk. But I would advise put it in front of you. Make it a visual thing that can remind you every single day when you wake up and when you go to bed. Because another reason why people don't achieve their goals is because it's not in front of their eyes. Therefore, they're not as intentional as what they could be. And then when your why is clear, your patience becomes so much more stronger when it comes to trading as well. So really define your goal, what is your why, and make sure it's personal to you. We are nearly at the end, guys. So developing resilience through setbacks. So finally, resilience is I mean we all know what resilience is, right? So resilience is key, right? So resilience is the thing really that keeps traders in the game. That's what allows us to keep our head above waters. Sometimes we put it inside the water, but sometimes we take it out. But resilience is what allows us to go long term. Trading is not a 100-meter sprint, it's a marathon. Remember that. Always have that embedded in your mind. It's not a 100 meter sprint, it's a marathon. It's not about how much money can I make this month, it's about how much money can I make over the period of a year and compound it and continue to build upon that to make even more money over the next 5 to 10 years. That should always be your thought process and the way in which you look at trading. So, losses are feedback. So we lose, as I said, we're always going to lose from time to time, but that's your lesson, that's your feedback. It's not a failure. So just remember, take that part of it. That's part of the journey. That's part of your data. It's part of what you're going to experience. When you hit a drawdown within your account, do not chase it. this really relates to that comment or the question that Dominic put in the group about 10 minutes ago. We will hit drawdowns. Do not chase it. Step away, breathe, and come back with a fresh perspective. If you've hit that drawdown and you're still composed, you're in the right frame of mind, and 3 hours later in the day, it's triggered another line, and you know mentally you're in the right frame of mind, take the trade, especially if you're in the right frame of mind. Because remember, we're trading of what the markets is showing us and what we deem to be our technical analysis. So have a post-loss reset. So what do I mean by that? I'm basically referring to what I said earlier on. Close your charts, take down the lessons, and do something that's non-trading. Back to my personal experience. When I've taken a loss, even though it may not have even equated to 50%, let's just say it's a 3% loss. When I've taken it, but it's kind of, I don't know, it's digged me a little bit, or I feel a little bit annoyed about that. I literally just step away. And when I step away, I'll probably go to the kitchen and I'll make myself a sandwich, I'll make myself a drink, and I'll probably look at something, maybe whether it may be on YouTube or something like that. That's what I have done many times when I've had a little loss. I say, okay, cool, let me take a break from the markets. There's no pressure. Money's always moving. I'll come back again. So say, do those things to yourself. You know, if you have just a reset, do a mental reset. Your goal is not to be perfect. So do not come into trading thinking that you're going to be a perfectionist, because trading does not reward perfection. The whole aim and the whole goal of trading is about recovering fast and staying consistent. So when I say recovering fast and staying consistent, take a loss. Don't now get into this paranoid or this fearful state of mind. Understand the markets is what it is. Recompose yourself, come back again, and keep doing that until you've established that level of consistency. So again, the question that I want to ask you guys again is, if you've ever had one bad trade ruin the rest of your day, or have you ever had a trade that's ruined the rest of your day or the rest of your week? And if you have, what have you done to come back from that? That's what I want you to ask yourself. Have you had a trade that's ruined your day or ruined your week? If you have, what did you do to come back from that? Whatever you done to come back from that bad trade is what you more than likely need to keep doing to keep yourself in the game. Because a lot of us don't understand that we actually have very good habits. But because we're not intentional with the good habits that we have, we tend to forget to use that good habit when we find ourselves in another situation or another predicament. So be mindful of your bad habits, which is your weaknesses, and also be mindful of your good habits, which is your strengths. And make sure you're using that every day, every week, which comes in the form of journaling and reviewing your performance. So you don't lose until you stop learning. So the only time you lose in the markets is when you stop learning. That's the quote I want to leave you with for this particular slide. So always learning, always learn, always be a student to the game. Never be a master. A lot of the times in my later days of trading, the reason why I lost money is because of the bad habits that I established. And through those bad habits and through thinking I'm a master of this game, that's when I started losing money again. So I've had to be humbled a few times. And during those appearances of me being humbled, I'm now dead set on, okay, I'm always going to be a student to the game. I will never know everything in the markets. And you really need to kind of take that same mindset and carry it through the rest of your days of trading. So the blueprint, what is the blueprint? So we've got mindset, emotion, process, routine, vision, and resilience. That, guys, should be your whole blueprint for your trading psychology. Tie it all together. Psychology is not just part of trading, psychology is trading. This is what really makes your trading what it is. This is what makes it real. So it's a loop. So every single one feeds the rest. Your mindset feeds into your emotion feeds into your process, how you structure your day, how you compose yourself, how you view things, your perception, and your process feeds into your routine, and your routine then becomes your vision, and your vision then becomes how resilient you stay in the markets. So if your mindset is off, your emotion is definitely going to spiral. And if your emotions start to spiral, I would advise you all, that's when you step back, process it, take a break, process the breaks. But with structure and awareness, I'm telling you guys that if you continue to have structure, be aware of your thoughts, your routine, your lifestyle, everything that's going on around you. You will establish a high level of success in trading. And make sure that when you do establish this well, blueprint that I'm showing you now, just keep looping it, compound on it every single week. And as you compound on it, that's when you'll be a master of your craft. So the final thing I'd like to say is that the goal is not to remove your emotion. It's not for you to be AI. It's not for you to be robotic. It's to make sure that you train it to work for you. Have the emotions there, but just have the right emotions that's going to allow you to succeed in the trading game. And be aware of your internal environment as well as your external environment, what's going on around you. And once you're aware of that and you're very particular about these things, then and only then will you be successful with your trading and everything else in your life. So that actually concludes our session for today. Guys, if you've got any questions, ask me any questions now. And if you don't, then yeah, we keep it moving. So do any of you have any questions? Perfect. I'm going to take it as we're all good in terms of questions. If you've got anything, put it in a group. But like I said, I'm going to give you the one-page PDF, which I done with Market Knowledge Capital a few years back. I'm just revamping that, updating it, and then I'll give it for your reference as well. So if you haven't got any questions, I wish you guys have a good evening. Enjoy the rest of your evenings, and we'll continue to catch up throughout the week. Have a good one.